Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second session in World Investor Week 2018. And today we're looking at your investments, because your investments matter. So I'm Claire Whiteleg and I'm from the Financial Services Authority. I'm going to be joined by John Hockney, who's going to look at what to look at in an investment advisor and what to look for when being recommended an investment. So basically, John's looking at choosing the right advisor that suits your needs and making sure that whatever you're recommended to invest in meets your needs. Then we're going to have Steve Locking, who's looking at some of the techie bits. So understanding the impact of compound interest and the ravages of inflation on any investment. And that's certainly no joke at the moment. And then Sharon's coming, Sharon Sutton, and she's going to be talking about planning for future investment needs and goals through lifestyle financial planning. So what is lifestyle financial planning? Right, so first, just before I hand over, I'm going to go through a couple of the key messages that have come out from the International Organisation of Securities Commissions for World Investor Week. What we're talking about is a smart investor checks that an investment advisor is qualified and works for a regulated firm. You certainly don't want to be dealing with somebody who isn't qualified, because that probably means they don't know what they're talking about. And you don't want to be talking to somebody who doesn't work for a regulated firm. If you're not dealing with people who are in a regulated zone, then you have the problem that there is no recourse if something goes wrong. A smart investor conducts research on a product before investing. Yes, an investment advisor will give you information. Yes, a product provider will give you information. But it's for you to make sure that whatever you're investing in meets your needs and you understand what you're investing in. A smart investor assesses the impact of fees when choosing an investment. It's great to go into an investment where the underlying performance of the asset goes up through the roof, but if you're paying excessively high fees to get into that investment, that will reduce your investment performance and bring it right back down. So make sure you understand how long you've got to be in something and what it's going to cost you to be invested. A smart investor understands that risk exists in all investments. Risk is everywhere. Risk can be positive, it can be negative. If you invest in a bank at the moment, you're getting virtually nothing in terms of interest, but inflation is going up. And I know Steve's going to be talking about that in his talk, but that means every year your money in the bank may be worth less than it was the year before. That's a risk. A smart investor avoids get-rich-quick and can't-lose schemes. Get-rich-quick and can't-lose schemes often actually equate to scam talk. You don't want to be scammed, so make sure you understand again what you're doing. A smart investor recognises the power of compound interest. And again, this is something that Steve's going to be looking at. A smart investor recognises the importance of diversification. If you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket's got a hole in it, the investment fails, you've lost all of your investment. If you have it in lots of different pots in different places, if one thing doesn't perform as well, at least that will be balanced across the portfolio. So it's diversifying across different types of investments and different sectors. A smart investor plans for and invests according to his or her needs and goals. Just because your neighbour's invested in something doesn't mean it's the right investment for you. If you plan to not need the money for quite a long period of time, but you've got a big goal that you want to go, I don't know, you want to retire to New Zealand, then you want to make sure that your money is going to be available at that time, at its peak. It's not the same as if you're wanting to invest to go on a luxury holiday the next year. You'd be looking at a totally different type of investment. A smart investor recognises the benefit of long-term and regular diversified investment. If you keep dripping money in, your pot grows and you don't actually miss the money. Simple. So, I'm just going to hand over now to John Hockney, who is Managing Director of Hockney Stevens Chartered Financial Planners. Steve.
When Claire approached me to deliver the Investment Matters presentation, I spent some time deciding how best to start such a presentation. Investments, even for the most financially aware, can be daunting at the best of times. So naturally, many people would look to engage the services of a professional financial advisor to help them navigate the maze of products and investments. However, and of course, hopefully, as we'll find out during the course of this presentation, a professional financial advisor can offer much more than just helping you select an appropriate investment. To adapt a well-worn phrase, just like a good dog, a financial advisor is not just for Christmas, but for life. So in setting the scene, money is such an emotive subject. We work throughout our lives trying to accumulate a sum of capital to assist us in later life. And then through more and more sophisticated tactics, we find ourselves prey to investment scammers. Just a couple of headlines that were in the papers recently in the Daily Telegraph. I have a PhD in economics, but still lost £26,000 in an investment scam. In the Financial Times recently, the FCA warns on online investment scams. And as probably many of us have heard, just last week, BBC 5 Live investigates that discovered that fraudsters scammed nearly 49,000 older people in the UK last year, equivalent to 6 victims every hour of every day across the UK. So I guess the key question is how to protect yourself. I'd like to offer the following thoughts of what to consider before engaging a financial advisor, and then moving on, basically, top tips for choosing an investment. So, before considering engaging the services of a financial advisor, perhaps you should consider the following 8 steps. Step 1, quite simply, do you need a financial advisor? Think carefully about what type of help you need, can afford, and would value. Not everybody needs full-blown professional financial advice. It might be that you only need general guidance on budgeting and debt management. Free sources exist to help, including MAS, the Money Advice Service, Citizens Advice Bureau, and for the over 50s, the government's pension-wise service. Although they're UK-focused websites, they're still very useful for research purposes. Step 2, decide what type of investment you want. If you require regulated advice, which typically involves investment recommendations, do you need this for a single issue? For example, diversifying an investment strategy, transferring a pension, or setting up a trust, or do you need a more comprehensive ongoing service? Step 3, independent or restricted. Advisors fall into 2 broad categories, independent or restricted. An independent advisor will usually carry a greater upfront cost, but can recommend their pick of retail investment products from across the market. Restricted advisors, as the name suggests, can only usually recommend a certain types of products or those from a limited number of providers. Step 4, choose which level of advice you need. The more your financial advisor does for you, the more you will pay. At the end of the scale, wealth managers whose clients typically have investable assets of more than £1 million will offer a suite of services, from investment services to tax planning and divorce. IFAs also offer investment advice and can recommend specific products such as pensions, annuities, plus bolt-on services including inheritance and tax planning, mortgage advice and insurance brokering. We're already halfway through. Step 5, what are the charges? Many advisors will offer a free introductory session and a list of fees will be provided at the end. There are a number of ways financial planners and wealth managers charge for their services. These are fixed initial and service fees, hourly charges, percentage of assets invested, and product commission. Sometimes these charging methods can be combined. Step 6, finding an advisor. You can search for an advisor using various directories or databases. In the UK, organisations such as unbiased.co.uk and thepfs.org have a list of qualified advisors. In the Isle of Man, the Financial Services Authority website has a list of licence holders. This is not individual IFAs, so whichever advisor you choose, you should seek to see their qualifications. While all regulated advisors will need to have achieved a benchmark level of professional qualification, you should understand what qualification an advisor has in addition to this. This is particularly important if you have complex needs or want advice in specialist areas such as pension transfers. Step 7, choosing the right person. With most things in life, personal recommendations carry a good deal of weight. If a friend or colleague in a similar financial position to you, or even an accountant or lawyer, can suggest someone to contact, this is a great place to start. It's still no guarantee of success. Even if you have a recommendation, you should ideally contact 2 or 3 IFAs so you can make a comparison. Experts recommend having an initial face-to-face meeting with each. You can then make a decision based on who meets your requirements and who will give you the best advice and service. Step 8, keeping your fingers on the pulse. At your first meeting, find out whether you're entitled to ongoing advice or reviews and whether you will have to pay additional fees for these. A sign of a good advisor is that they want to talk to you about your personal circumstances rather than just products you're investing in. You want someone who understands your lifestyle requirements, your attitude towards risk, and will translate these into actionable decisions. Make sure you're getting all the information you need. All IFAs are required by their regulator, the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority, to carry out a full fact-finding exercise to prevent their clients from, say, being advised to invest in high-risk funds when they have large amounts of unsecured debts. Before you buy any product, the advisor must give you a key features document which explains details such as the level of risk, how the product might work for you, and the charges. The most important point to remember when choosing an IFA is that you are in control. It's easy to feel cowed by someone's greater knowledge of a subject, particularly in complex financial matters. Experts recommend that you keep an eye out for warning signs, such as finding yourself being recommended a product that you don't understand. So, to summarise, 10 questions to ask before appointing a financial advisor. 1. Do you give independent or restricted advice? 2. Do you sell your company's own products, investment funds, and if so, how will I know this is the most suitable products for me? Step 3. What fees do I pay now? How will I pay them, and how much do I pay on an ongoing basis? Step 4. What initial advice and ongoing advice service do you provide for the fee, and how often will you review my portfolio? 5. How is this service delivered? Is it face-to-face, remotely, by email, by telephone? 6. What level of professional qualifications do you have? Are you qualified in any specific areas where I might want advice? 7. How long has your company been in business and how big is it? 8. How long have you been working as a financial advisor? 9. Do you specialise in any particular area? And finally, 10. Will I always see you, or will other people from your company look after me as well? So hopefully this provides some thoughts on what you should look for when you're considering engaging a financial advisor. Moving on, top tips for investments. As I was preparing this, I wondered what type of message would apply. So I thought money advice service would be a good neutral starting point. So these are the 8 top tips listed on Money Advice website. 1. Review your needs and goals. It's well worth taking time to think about what you really want from your investments. Knowing yourself, your needs and goals, and your appetite for investment risk is a good starting place. 2. Consider how long you can invest. Think about how soon you will need your money back. Time frames vary for different goals and will affect the types of risks you can take. For example, if you're saving for a house deposit and hoping to buy in a couple of years, investments such as shares and funds will not be suitable because the value can go up and down. Stick to cash savings accounts. If you're saving for your pension in 25 years' time, you can ignore short-term falls in the values of your investment and focus on the longer term. Over the longer term, investments other than cash saving accounts tend to give you a better chance of reaching your pension goal. 3. Making an investment plan. Once you're clear on your needs and goals and have assessed how much risk you can take, draw up an investment plan. This will help you to identify the products which could be suitable for you. A good rule of thumb to start with low risk investments such as cash. Then add medium risk investments like unit trusts if you're happy to accept higher volatility, and only consider higher risk investments once you've built up the low to medium risk investments. Even then, only do so if you're willing to accept the risk of losing money you've put into them. 4. Diversify. It's a basic rule of investing that to improve your chances of a better return, you have to accept more risk. But you can manage and improve the balance between risk and return by spreading your money across different investment types and sectors, whose prices don't necessarily move in the same direction. This is called diversifying. It can help you smooth out the returns while still achieving growth and reducing the overall risk of your portfolio. Decide how hands-on you want to be. Investing can take up as much or as little time as you like. If you want to be hands-on and enjoy in making investment decisions, you might want to consider buying individual shares, but make sure you understand the risks. If you don't have the time or the inclination to be hands-on, then a popular choice is investment funds, such as unit trusts or open-ended investment companies, OICs. With these, your money is pooled with that of lots of other investors and used to buy a wide spread of investments. If you're unsure about the type of investments you need or which investment funds to choose, you should engage the services of a professional financial advisor. 6. Check the charges. If you buy investments like individual shares direct, you will need to use a stockbroking service and you will pay dealing charges. If you decide to invest in investment funds, there are charges, for example, that you pay the fund manager. And finally, if you get financial advice, you will pay for the advisor's fees. Ask any firm to explain all of their charges so you know what you'll pay before committing your money. 7. Investments to avoid. Avoid high-risk products unless you fully understand specific risks and are happy to take them on. Only consider high-risk products once you've built up money in lower and medium-risk investments. And then finally, 8. Review periodically, but don't stock watch. Regular reviews, say for instance once a year, will ensure you keep on track of how your investments are performing and adjust your savings as necessary to reach your goal. However, don't be tempted to act every time prices move in an unexpected direction. Remember, markets rise and fall all the time. If you're a long-term investor, you can ride out these fluctuations.